When I was a sophomore in high school, I had an embarrassing day that I still can remember every detail to this day. It was a very humbling and humiliating experience. It was sophomore year. It was the Monday after Christmas break. For Christmas, my mom had bought me this new green shirt, long sleeve green shirt, and a white sweater, so that's what I wore to school that day. And I remember sitting in geometry class. My seat was right next to the heater, and it was blazing hot. It was the first class of the day. I remember sweating and thinking I should take off my sweater, but I didn't want to. I pretty much probably sweat the entire day. Well, anyways, after school, we had down in the locker room, the football players were to gather for a weightlifting session. And keep in mind, I'm as tall as I am today, but I weighed about 120 pounds my sophomore year. So I would, if I turned sideways, I would disappear from your sight. When I took off my shirt, I heard laughing. And, I'm a sophomore and surrounded by these guys who are much bigger than me, upperclassmen. And I hear this laughing, and I'm not really paying attention to it. And one of my friends, who was a classmate who was standing next to me, hit me on the shoulder and just said, "Dude, take a look at yourself." And I looked down, and I saw my stomach, my chest, my arms. Would you believe that green shirt bled all over me? It was almost a perfect tattoo. I mean, it was as close as you could get. And I was just devastated. I'm a shy, introverted kid at that time, didn't know what to do, didn't like being laughed at. And I do remember, and I have since apologized for this, blaming my mother. My pride said this shouldn't happen to me. And I remember going home and letting her know that I wasn't happy. She just laughed because she saw the humor in it. But another thing that happened during that moment is my classmate who was next to me, I think he saw that it really bothered me. So he had a long sleeve shirt that he had brought that day, and I had a short sleeve, and so he offered to trade shirts with me. Now, we can be humbled in so many different ways. As Jesus points out in the gospel story, being embarrassed is also a humbling experience. But having someone reach out to try and help you in a time of need is also very humbling. To accept help from others requires a sense of humility. To see the suffering in others requires humility. What pride does is it prevents us from seeing the suffering of others. It prevents us from hearing God's voice and helping us to continue to grow. Humility is a requirement for faith in God. We can't have faith without humility. And that's what Jesus is trying to teach to the Pharisees, who are filled with pride, who are filled with arrogance, who believe that they are intellectually superior to Jesus. They believe that they are also morally superior to Jesus. So Jesus gives them this lesson on humility, just reminding them that they should never think that they are better than others, because we're all created in the image and likeness of God. And as such, we're all brothers and sisters in Christ. We all have differences. We all have, how should I say? I'll just say it this way. We all have annoyances. We all have things that we are annoyed by. But the reality is, people also find annoyances. Believe it or not, I annoy other people, because of my personality or whatever it is. And that's okay. God created us all in such different ways to help us to see the good in each other, to look for the good, and humility is a requirement of that. Another part of that parable that Jesus gives in teaching to the leader who invited him to dinner is the importance of giving. We give from the heart without expecting anything in return. Humility allows us to do that, to see the gifts around us that God gives us as blessings, and allows us to share what it is that we have without expecting anything in return. If we ever expect something in return when we give something away, it's no longer a gift, it's a transaction. And Jesus is the perfect example of that. He humbled himself to become one like us in everything but sin. He humbled himself to get up on that cross for us without any expectation of how we would respond. He invites us to respond to him. But it wasn't that he didn't get it up there with the expectation that we would say yes to him. That's the humility he has and the humility that he set for us. I want to share something with you, and then we'll continue on. This past week, to me, this is the best way to be humbled. This past week, the fifth graders over at the school sent me all these letters or cards, welcome cards. There goes a couple of them. And they all drew pictures. They took time doing this. And I just wanted to thank you. I just wanted to share a few of them with you. And just so you know, in future reference, as you can tell, I like to tell stories. I always get permission from people if I can tell the story at a homily. So if I give you a call, that's what I'm calling about. No, I'm kidding. But I asked the fifth graders if it was okay if I read these. I don't want to get up here and ever embarrass someone without their permission. Dear Father Rob, welcome. What are your favorite school subjects? My favorite subjects are reading and math. Do you have any pets? I have a dog that is 5 months old. Did you grow up in Indianapolis? I was born in Indianapolis. I think you're very funny, and I wish you good luck for the rest of the year. Dear Father Rob, I hope you are having an amazing week and hope you have an amazing year, too. I think most people in Christ the King are very happy to have you as a priest. And probably most of the school thinks you're funny. I know I do. I hope you stay around for at least 3 years. And if you stay for longer than that, that would also be good too. Dear Father Rob, welcome to Christ the King. We're so glad you're here. My favorite things are the sports and the welcoming people. Also, it's the best community ever. Next, my favorite things to do outside of school are sports, sleep, and play with my family. My favorite prayer is Hail Mary because it's part football, which is his favorite sport. And it's a perfect prayer if you're stressed. My favorite liturgical season is Advent. That's because it's getting ready for Christmas. Also, my favorite subject is math. For another thing, my favorite part about Mass is the homily. To top it off, my most prized meal of the day is chicken pot pie. I hope you enjoy the awesome community here. Dear Father Rob, welcome to Christ the King. We're so glad you're here. My favorite thing is how nice the teachers are, how nice people are. My favorite thing outside of school is reading and kickball. My favorite prayer is the Hail Mary, Our Father and Glory Be. Favorite season is Advent. My favorite subject is reading. My favorite thing about Mass are the songs and the homily, and I hope you enjoy being a priest here at Christ the King. Dear Father Rob, welcome to Christ the King. I hope you're feeling great today and always. I wanted to tell you about me and my favorite activities. One of my favorite activities at Christ the King is field day. It's so fun. Some other activities I enjoy is tiger trot, recess, art, gym, etc. I love pizza and Chick-fil-A. I usually get straight A's and love running. Thank you for reading this. I hope you have a good day, and thanks for being our priest. I'll read one more here. Welcome to Christ the King. We're so glad you're here. My favorite thing is the people here. They are all so nice, and I'm planning to stay here till 8th grade. My favorite thing outside of school is basketball, family, and hanging out with my friends. My favorite prayer is the act of contrition. My favorite liturgical season is Advent. Favorite subject is writing. My favorite thing about Mass is singing songs and praying for me and other people. I like learning all the songs and prayers. I hope you enjoy your time here and the people here. Christ the King is amazing, and I think you will think it is too. The thing I love about these letters is it reminds me what's important, and that's what humility does. It allows us to see the main things in our lives as the main things and to focus on that. Almost every single letter talks about the people here. It takes a lot of work to create a good community. It takes a lot of humility and willingness to experience Christ and to share Christ with others. I don't really have a point, I guess. I just kind of wanted to share these things with you and say, let's keep it going so that when others come here, they will experience what these fifth graders are experiencing, the love of Christ.